Shalom. Okay, we are on day 3 of not being there. I am stuck in Arlington, Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. Show you my view from my room. You can see right over there is not sure really what you can see because I'm holding this behind me, but right over there is the Pentagon, the Washington Monument, the Jefferson Memorial, the United States Capitol, road sign over there knocked down because of the hurricane. And if you look, I'll show you something very cool. I'm not sure if you can see. I'm trying to see what you can see. Let's see here. But if you look on top, I'm aiming it at the right spot, so I'm hoping you can see. But if you look on top of the Pentagon, you can see a satellite dish that looks like it's been damaged by the hurricane. So pretty cool. Okay, that's your fun and entertainment for today. Now let's get to learning some Torah. Okay, we are going to be going on in our sugya of whether Kriya Shema has to be said in Hebrew or in Loshon Hakodesh, or it can be said in any language. And we're going to be examining today. What we're going to do is we're going to do 3 different videos that are going to be about 10 minutes each, examining 3 different sources. One on the Rambam's idea of what Loshon Hakodesh is. One is the Ramban's idea of what Loshon Hakodesh is, and the third is the Mishnah Berurah. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the Rambam, and this is in a book called the Moreh Nevuchim. The Moreh Nevuchim is a book of philosophy. Yeah, we're going to be looking at a little philosophy. I know, it's not usually what we do, but it's an interesting topic, and I think that it's important that you guys know it. It'll help you understand what I'm hoping to is Rabbi Yehuda's opinion that Kriya Shema has to be said exactly the way it is written. Okay. And now I've added sources to the source sheets. You should have printed it out already. I'm hoping that you did. And we're going to be looking at source number 4. It's in English. The reason why I printed it in English and didn't put any Hebrew in is because the Rambam himself wrote this book as he wrote all books except for the Mishnah Torah. Mishnah Torah is usually where we see the Rambam's writings in. But he wrote all books in the language of the time, Arabic, which is ironic, being the fact that we're studying the importance of Loshon HaKodesh. And what the Rambam discusses here, and we're going to see the Ramban disagree with soon, is what the idea behind Loshon HaKodesh is according to the Rambam. Okay. Now, what I'm going to want you to do is, I'm going to want you to listen to the Rambam. You can read it yourself. It's right there in English. You can read it yourself, but I'm going to read it along with you, and I'm going to explain it. And what I would like you to do is, I want you, as you're listening to it, I want you to keep in mind what this has to do with our sugya of whether Shema has to be said in Loshon HaKodesh or it can be said in any language. And what we're going to see is the Rambam is going to explain why Loshon HaKodesh is called Loshon HaKodesh. Okay, that's the idea. So let's look at source number 4. I want you to keep that in mind. At the end of this, you're going to text me or email me. And my number, write this down, my number, you should have it, I'm sure everybody has it already, is 561-739-2150. 561-739-2150. And my email address is Pilichowski, PILICHOWSKI, @ehillel.org. You're going to text me a summary of the Rambam, and then you're going to email me or text me how you connect it to the sugya. Okay, so I want you to think, if the Rambam is correct, and this is really the idea of Loshon HaKodesh, how does that help us understand Rabbi Yehuda, and how does this help us understand the Chachamim? Okay, that's what I'd like you to concentrate on. Okay, so and you're going to have at the end of this video, you're going to have it's 3 10-minute videos over the course of our 80-minute class. So what I'm going to want you to do is think to yourself, I'm going to want you to watch this entire video, and then I want you to spend about 5-10 minutes with your chavrusa until everybody's done, everybody's texted me the answer to those 2 questions. Okay, so let's look at the Rambam. And the Rambam says as follows: I have also a reason and a cause for calling our language the sanctified language. Right? The Rambam is saying, well, why do we call the language of the Torah, why do we call it Loshon HaKodesh? Why do we call it the sanctified language? In other words, remember, we talked about this in the last couple of days. It's not real, what the Chumash is written in is not Hebrew. Right? Hebrew is what we speak modern day when the Israelis converse, or when people in Israel converse, they're speaking Hebrew, what we call Ivrit. But this is not Ivrit. This is what this is now is what's called Loshon Hakodesh. Okay, and this is the idea of Loshon Hakodesh. And the question is, why is this language called Kadosh? Right? What is Kadosh about the language? And the Rambam says, I have a reason for it. He says, do not think it's exaggeration or error on my part. It is perfectly correct. The Rambam's not saying, this isn't a theory that I have. The Rambam's saying, this is 100% true. And he says, Loshon HaKodesh has no special name for the sexual organs of females or males, nor for the act of procreation itself. The Hebrew has no expressions, and again, it's not Hebrew, right? That's just the translation is using that word. The Loshon HaKodesh has no original expressions for these things, and only describes them in figurative language and by way of hints, as if to indicate thereby that these things should not be mentioned, and should therefore have no names. We ought to be silent about them. Okay, so the Rambam says as follows. He says, now we understand that there's nothing wrong with any body part that we have, whether it be our private body parts or our public ones. There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing bad about them. There's nothing negative about them. Not at all. The problem is that and it's not a problem, but the issue with them is that there's certain parts that we have that are private. We're tzanu about them. We're more modest about those parts. And the modesty that's due to these parts extends not just to the fact that we cover them, right, but the fact also that we don't talk about them. There's certain things that are acceptable to talk in public, and there's certain things that modesty dictates that we don't talk about in public. Not everything has to be talked about in public. So that's the idea. Now, Loshon HaKodesh, because it's a sanctified language, things that should not be spoken about don't have expressions in the language. Right? What does that mean? That means that Loshon HaKodesh is so sanctified that things that shouldn't be spoken about, languages, what they do is they give expressions to ideas and to thoughts. Right? This, you could say, what is this? This is a tool that I use in order to write and draw pictures, right? But instead, what do we say? We say we don't have to describe what it does. We're going to give it a name. It is a pen, right? This is something that I use to make myself look better. It's a piece of cloth so we don't go on the whole description, but rather I say, this is a tie, right? That's what language does. So the things that are supposed to be kept private, things that we're not supposed to speak about in public, what we do with those things is we say, okay, those are private things. In Loshon HaKodesh, in the Torah, you won't find words for these things, right? Because they're supposed to be private. So the Torah didn't give them a word, right? God did not give them a word. So certain body parts and certain acts that we do with those body parts, right? The Torah did not give a word for it. And therefore, says the Rambam, it's called Loshon HaKodesh. It's a sanctified language because it doesn't refer to things that that in speaking about them publicly would be that would be non-sanctified. It would be undignified to speak about them publicly, right? And the Rambam goes on and he says, and when we are compelled to mention them, we must manage to employ for that purpose some suitable expressions, although these are generally used in a different sense. Right? Now, there are times where we read stories in the Torah, right? We read episodes in the Torah where we do have that an act of procreation is mentioned, or certain body parts have to be mentioned. But then we go ahead and we describe it without giving a word to it, because to do so would be violating this act of dignified speech, and that's the idea when it comes to having Loshon HaKodesh. It's called Loshon HaKodesh because it is supposed to be a dignified manner of speech. Now, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to text me or email me a summary of what we just said. I don't want you copying and pasting from this page because that would be pointless. I want a summary in your own words. And then what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to spend a couple of minutes thinking about what this idea of Loshon HaKodesh could have to do with Rabbi Yehuda or the Chachamim's opinion. Okay? See you guys soon.